Whoa, look at that. We're live. Just like that, we're live. We weren't, and now we are. Because it's 9 o'clock on the East Coast. It's the second Tuesday of the month. That means that if you're in the Philmont Trek Talk group on Facebook, this is the time we get together and talk about all things Philmont, which is a big lie because we have an agenda. We have a subset of things Philmont to talk about this week. We're not going to talk about all things, although I have been known to go off track at a moment's notice. That guy, he does it. He stays on agenda. So why don't you introduce yourself? We'll just keep going across the screen.
All right. Rob Smith. I'm the part of Troop 85 and Crew 85 in O'Fallon, Illinois. And been to pretty much every high adventure base there is and run highadventurescouting.com. That's it.
I guess it's my turn. Sal Porto, Assistant Scoutmaster, Troop 212, Greater Tampa Bay Area Council Contingent Leader, going back to Philmont again this year. And now we're going that way to Daryl.
It always messes you up figuring out which way to point, doesn't it?
Anyways, Daryl Tadson here from Greater St. Louis Area Council in St. Louis. Veteran of multi-years at Philmont, hiking and leading contingents. Probably the last 15, 18 years leading council contingents out there. And going back like Sal this year, looking forward to another great adventure.
Excellent. Hey, I'm Jeff. Pleased to meet you. I'll be your tour guide this evening. Please return your tray tables to the upright and fully fastened position, and lace up your boots. Boots? Did I say boots? Lace up your trail runners.
Oh, you said boots. You said boots.
Yeah.
I heard put your chair up. I think that's...
Yeah, put your chair up too. Wait a minute.
I was checking to see if you were paying attention there, Sal.
I was.
Anyhow, hey, I'm Jeff, and there we go, Daryl. I want to show you guys something. Here we go. There, I got my new shirt on. We got new shirts for the ship. So Sea Scouts can go to Philmont also. I wanted to make a point of saying that you don't have to be a dirt scout to go to Philmont. You can be a Sea Scout as well, or an explorer or adventurer. Or are there any other types of scouts? I don't know. You be an adult associated with any of those, and you go to Philmont. You don't have to be just your plain Jane vanilla dirt scout.
Dirt scout.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It shocked me the first time I heard that too, and I thought you would enjoy hearing about that. So I wanted to share that with you. All right. So our typical let's get the niceties out of the way first. We've already done the introductions. We have got scrolling across the bottom. If you stumbled on this video because it's titled something about, Philmont Trek information or whatever we called it, and you're like, wait a second, this doesn't look like an official Philmont thing. You're right. It's not. We are unofficial. I'd like to say we're sanctioned, but we're not. We haven't been sanctioned like punitively, and we haven't been sanctioned in the, hey, they're official. Check them out. We're nice to the people at Philmont. Staff at Philmont are generally nice to us, including Daryl, who, is perennially on staff. And he's like our official, unofficial staff member that, whenever I ask, hey, does someone want to come on the show and talk about stuff? They're like, well, you got Daryl. He's on staff. So yeah, we're official, unofficial. If you would like to get the absolute official, most up-to-date word from Philmont proper on anything related to Philmont, they do their own video series. Does anyone here happen to remember exactly when that is and how to find it while I adjust my camera? There we go.
The last one was about a week ago, and I think it's mid-February for the next one.
Should be February 16th, if I remember right.
Yeah, it might be
that's a good day.
I don't know if that's
Isn't that the day all the tracks are announced? So
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the same day as the lottery or not. If it's on the same day.
Yeah, that's the day the lottery's open.
All right. Well,
Well,
there you
lottery
go.
ends. Lottery ends. Let's put it that way.
Yep.
So let's address that real quick. So why would someone come here in addition to checking out the official Philmont information? Any thoughts from the team here?
Better looking.
Why would they come to here? And we'll come to both, because you'll get information here that Philmont either A, doesn't have the time to discuss, or B, the questions are so small they can't get to them all, or something on that nature.
or we're better looking.
Better looking. Yeah, better looking.
Definitely.
Yeah,
we charge less for talking about it.
I would go along with Sal. The Philmont preparedness seminars, they're pretty well canned. I don't think we've ever had anything canned here, but anyways, they have a very schedule, not strict schedule, but a schedule, and they videotape them and they go down and they answer questions and they give their output, and sure they get questions on the side and they try to answer them at the end, but I think we're a lot more interactive, chit-chatty amongst ourselves, and yeah, we may be a little opinionated now and then about things, but I think it comes from experience, real world. Not that Philmont isn't in the real world, and they have a lot of experience dealing with, thousands and thousands of dirt scouts throughout the summer, and I just think it's ours is a little more informal and chit chatty, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like your reminder that this is an interactive program. So we would very much like to hear from any folks that are out there. So we don't know you're there unless you let us know. If you are watching this on Facebook, like through the group or any of the other Facebook, look at that. We have a comment. I believe that is a spam comment. I'm going to delete that. But that is an example. If you leave a comment, we can put it on the screen like this. That's the only reason I showed it to you. Actually, two reasons. One, so I have the power to block people. I ain't afraid to use it. All right. So, and then the other is if you leave a comment, we can show it on the screen to share it with other people so that we can have a discussion about it. If you come through Facebook, you need to go to streamyard.com/Facebook and give them permission to show your name. Otherwise, you'll show up as Facebook user. So if you're out there, please, if you don't mind, give us a thumbs up or a like or whatever it is, depending on what platform you're on, to let us know you're there, but also to help feed the algorithms. They get the word out to more people who may be interested so they can join the conversation. We can have a better discussion. All right. So typically we try to kill about the first 10 minutes and to give people time to filter in. And we're at about 9 minutes. I think we may go ahead and get started. So the agenda, Daryl, you kind of defined the agenda for us this time. So would you like to speak to what we're going to do in the discussion this month?
Well, it kind of takes off of where the Philmont preparedness seminar was this month, which I think is a really important topic. Not that the other topics we cover aren't important, but health, safety, the forms required. This is the time that the crew should be getting that stuff together, getting it into Philmont, getting their doctor's appointments as they move into, well, at least up here in the northern climate, move into hiking again and doing shakedowns. What can they do to mitigate health and safety issues within the crew, and who has that responsibility, and kind of, if something should happen at Philmont, what kind of response could the participants expect from Philmont. What services and support can they give? And I know, Sal, you've worked on something with worked on a first aid kit that we probably want to touch base on a little bit here. But I sat down and listened to the seminar about 2 or 3 times and made some notes of things that Steve and I had a conversation with Nate Lay, the director of the health director out there. Some of the things that he wanted reinforced. That maybe we can amongst ourselves throw some opinions around, and if there's questions from the audience, how can we respond to them?
Sure. So the things we had on the agenda then are the health forms and requirements, any suggestions we have, classes. We do want to talk about the wilderness first aid and then the first aid kit. So if we kind of roll with that agenda, and I appreciate you. I was going to suggest someone should talk to Nate. So it's good that my telepathy is working. I've had some questions lately, to be honest with you. I hadn't felt like people were picking up on it every time. But Daryl, you got that. So I appreciate that. And you want to share first, why don't we start with kind of high level? What kind of things was Nate wanting to see reinforced? And then we can dive into what health forms are required and that kind of thing.
Oh, that's a broad topic. Some of the notes that I made from him were that, get the wilderness first aid class and certification and training done. Get the CPR training done. That's really the key issue, because those 2 classes are probably your biggest hurdle. When I say you, the audience out there, getting registered for those classes. Last year, Philmont granted an exception of only one leader trained. This year they're back to 2, and they're not wavering from that. And I broached the subject, kind of put it on the table of what if they showed up without it? I wouldn't want to push that issue with them. Let's put it this way. I'm not going to say they'll send you home, but I would not be the one to show up and say, hey, nobody in our crew is trained either CPR or wilderness first aid. So you're doing a total absolute disservice to your crew.
Right. So if someone finds themselves in that situation as they're getting close to trek time, so let's say some people who take crews to Philmont have never been before. They haven't really done much backpacking. They haven't been to other high adventure bases. This is all new to them. And the guidebook is massive, and the crew advisor handbook, or whatever that one's called, those are pretty thick as well, right? Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff. Something could get missed. If that happens to be the thing that gets missed, I know something that I'd heard in the past was that they would sometimes have wilderness first aid available across the street at the training center. Do we know if there are going to be any options? Because, and I'll kind of speak to what happened last year, where I had a slot for a training that got canceled because of COVID. And then when they rescheduled, I just missed it. I didn't get notice on it and missed it. So I ended up not having it. Fortunately, our crew had a couple other people who had it, so we didn't need it. And I'd already had wilderness first aid training before, so I just kind of refreshed myself so I would feel competent. But let's say that a crew's got, maybe they want to be overachievers. They want to have 4 or 5 or 6 people. Maybe the whole crew even is going to be wilderness first aid certified. And then the class that they're all going to gets canceled, and they don't have time to redo it. Like, do you know if there are going to be any resources?
I don't think so. because they are saying they want the 16-hour class.
Yeah.
And I don't know how a crew is going to be able to show up at Philmont and have at least 2 people go through a 16-hour class and hit the trail the next day.
Yeah. Understood. All right. So
I would say in this case, should you absolutely hit that wall that you just described, Jeff, I would be on the phone at 8:30 a.m. to Philmont and saying, here is my situation. What are my options?
I found out last Saturday that the council Daryl and I are part of, actually their classes are full until October.
Wow.
Right.
Completely full. So
right. And that's the only the only other thing would be contact your council, your local council office, contact places like REI, your local Red Cross. There's about 8 or 10 different organizations that offer wilderness first aid that Philmont recognizes. One is ECSI, and Sal, I'm not sure what that stands for. But anyways, you can Google it, and you can even contact them and say, hey, I'm in wherever I am, is there a class, is there an instructor in my area that can help me out here?
Yeah, on ESCI.
Contact your local Red Cross.
That's the Emergency Care and Safety Institute.
Right.
They do.
And I only mentioned
courses.
that. I only mentioned that one because that is the class through that organization that Philmont teaches that course out of the PTC, the training center at Philmont.
Yeah, they have that one. American Red Cross does a wilderness first aid also. So there's about 6 or 7 different companies.
Right, but
both have pluses and minuses. ESCI does do a blended class,
right,
where you can take it online, and then you have to find an instructor to do a skills test. But again, you have to find an instructor in your area. That not every instructor does skills
right.
courses. So
that's kind of what they did last year in our council and the council north of us. You took pretty much everything except for the hands-on.
Yeah.
So
that's how you do it. I mean, that's one way. I did a couple of those because I do ESCI. I'm certified in both ESCI and American Red Cross. I teach the American Red Cross version because I like their version better. It's the same. It's just this is the way they present it. I do a course about once a month. I got one scheduled for the end of February. It's right there on the screen as you speak.
Funny how that happened.
So I also teach an add-on CPR course if CPR AED if needed.
Yeah. So folks should know that Sal is in the Tampa area of Florida. So, keep that in mind. That geographically, unless you want to go to Florida, which who doesn't want to go to Florida, right? But if you want to go to Florida, this is really just to show you that there are other folks around teaching wilderness first aid. Don't get stuck on your council. That's what happened to me. Was I kind of got hung up on the idea of, well, I know my council does it, and they kind of like us to do stuff within the council, so I'll just do that one. And then I'll tell you what, it was a little frustrating when the class got canceled and then they rescheduled. I didn't know about it, and then it got filled up, and I'm like, well, are there any openings? Well, no, there aren't any openings.
Yeah, and that's kind of where we're talking about it now.
Yeah. And they're
sure,
like,
it can get canceled at the last minute.
Do you really have that many people who need it right now? Well, I don't know. Just whoever signs up, that's how we do it. I'm like, yeah, but I actively need this in like 2 months. I bet half the class are just people who take it every 2 years and they're not going to go anywhere. Could maybe we see if I can slide in since I actively need it? And they laughed at me. So keep in mind, like Daryl said, the way to avoid that is figure it out now. And if you don't have the resource that your first choice, work on your second or third choice, get it done early. Don't wait till you get a couple months before you're going and then panic like I did. I'm the example of how not to do it. So learn from my mistake there.
And right here, our Facebook, put a posting out there. Hey, I need this class. I am in, Boise, Idaho, or, wherever. Is there anybody? I mean, we have what, 4,000 plus members?
We're over 5,000 now.
Ask this group, is there some place in my area?
Yeah. So we have a question. Facebook user, prolific poster, Facebook user, comes every month, makes lots of comments. By the way, this is what I was talking about earlier. If you go to streamyard.com/Facebook, give it permission to show your name, then you won't show as Facebook user. We'll actually know who it is asking the question, which could be good.
I'm not sure what this is. Does the BSA Wilderness First Aid course count?
I think that is typically going to be the ECSI course, if I'm not mistaken. I know that's the one that they use in my council.
To answer this question here, if who's the author of the course? If it's ECSI, yes, they accept that. And that, like I say, that's typically, or that is the one that BSA uses, so that may be the one.
All right, I was just sorry. I got quiet while I was reading the question here. If someone is a highly trained medical professional, like a physician, an RN, or an EMT, is that an acceptable alternative?
Yes.
Yes, you're exempt by nature of your occupation. Philmont will recognize your training. You may have to bring, and I shouldn't say may, I would bring at least a copy of your certifications along, to document that, yes, I really am, an RN, EMT, and all of these various occupation, RN, EMT, are itemized in the at least the guidebook to itinerary. They tell you which occupations they recognize.
Got it.
And the same thing goes for CPR, first aid CPR. So in direct answer to this, yes, they are acceptable alternatives if you're an EMT current licensed. Some of the other things, we can come back as these go along. Medical forms. Nate was saying that there was some discussion that there was going to be a new medical form out this year. That has not happened. It's on hold. So they are accepting the one that is online on their webpage. It is good for 12 months from the date it was signed by your doctor. And to get real picky, if it was signed on July 15th, it will be good till July 31st. The full month.
Okay.
They also, as soon as the advisors get those, a couple of things to happen. One, make a PDF copy of it and upload it through the gateway. Philmont, the infirmary, will be reviewing these as they come in, just to make sure there's not any issues there that they need to be aware of. Or should you call in and say, hey, I have a question about Bobby's medical form expedition number, they can find it. For HIPAA rules, this is a secure website that does meet the HIPAA standards for uploading this kind of information. So upload those as soon as you get them. The other thing that Nate recommends is that at least the lead advisor look over the form and see if he or she is comfortable with all of the issues that are there, if there are issues. And he may not, or the advisor may not know that little Bobby is allergic to penicillin. needs to know those things. So, make sure you have a good understanding of the abilities and if you will, shortcomings or restrictions that your youth has. And the same way with the CPR, get those in online, those certifications. The Wilderness First Aid, the CPR, get those certifications uploaded into the gate through the gateway. It will make the infirmary and your health check-in much easier for you. It'll cut time and make things work a lot smoother.
Excellent advice. Okay, BSA is the author. I think that's referring to the Wilderness First Aid. I'm not aware of a Wilderness First Aid training currently being done where BSA is the author. As far as I know, the BSA across the board has switched to ECSI as their provider, certifier, whatever you want to call it.
Well, you can use anybody you want to. ESCI is how it worked is you could become a training center with ESCI. So most councils have become a training center.
Gotcha.
The difference between ESCI and American Red Cross is when you sign up for ESCI, you are required to purchase a textbook. And the textbook ranges around $30 to $40 just for the textbook, not including the cost of the course. The American Red Cross, the textbook is under $20. So there's the big difference right there. So that's one reason I use American Red Cross. It's a lot cheaper on the participants. It's the same kind of book. And ESCI does more videos and then American Red Cross. Again, I'm certified in both. I've taught both. I just like the way American Red Cross does theirs. That's my own personal preference.
The other thing is the height and weight chart. That's always an issue. I don't have.
I were talking about that before everybody came on.
Yeah. I don't have a weight problem. I got a height problem. I need to be 3 inches taller. But anyways, they are going to hold very strongly this year to that. Hey, Scott, good to see you. Yeah. They're going to hold real strong to that. If there's an issue that you have with a youth, give the infirmary a call. It will not guarantee a waiver of any sort, but at least they will talk to you about it and discuss it. But as far as an adult, it is going to be what is written. They're very insistent, very hard over on that. And then we get to the point where the guy says, or the individual says, well, are they going to measure my height with or without boots? It's going to be in your socks. So, well, I got a real thick sole on my boot, so I can have a couple more pounds. If you're that close to the max weight, I really hope you're not.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then again, like Nate was saying, this is why we're talking about it now, because we have 3-4 months, depending upon when you arrive, to work on this. The same thing with blood pressure. They had the doctor from University of Kansas on, and they said that blood pressure taken at camp 130/80, you will see a doctor if you're over that number, and have it rechecked and have a depression.
130/80, that's gonna be not that I'm gonna hit it, but that could be a lot of people just for altitude change is going to give you a 130/80.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also medications. Make sure that you're up to date on those. That prescription drugs in your medical recheck are in the original packaging. They want to make sure that you have sufficient quantities that'll last your your 5 or 7, 9, 12-day trek, and that they're not expired. What else? Those with diabetes, and that need supplies, Philmont will arrange and work with you to get one medical supply to you in the backcountry, so that you don't have to carry all of your syringes or insulin or whatever through the whole trek. The only thing they can't deal with is the rechargeable batteries for CPAPs. That you're going to have to figure that one out, solar panel or something. And again, this is the thing they're saying. Work now with your crew on your shakedown hikes. Can I recharge my batteries with the solar panel? Things like that.
Right.
In the backcountry, should there be an issue, whatever it is, you could be, and you need to train for and practice and have a plan. And this is part of Wilderness First Aid. You could be 3 to 4 hours away from definitive health care. How are you going to handle that situation, whatever it may be? One thing that happened to me when I went out for a training class, we were hiking in the backcountry, and the instructor faked an injury, fell down, and I happened to be he was right behind me, and I got to the point of, well, I think we might have to cut your pants. And he leaned over and said, "Don't cut the pants." At that point, I knew that it was a fake issue. But you may even want to incorporate that into your training hikes. Hey, I have an injury. How do we deal with it?
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea. We had a question about BSA authored Wilderness First Aid training. So, and Facebook user even included a link that described it. And in that link, so just for clarification, what BSA says for Wilderness First Aid training, 3 options: American Red Cross, ECSI, or number 3 is providers accredited by the American Camp Association, and it lists the standard here. Any others don't meet BSA's requirement. And then it clarifies here that for high adventure bases like Philmont, that you have to have 2 people with Wilderness First Aid training. And we all know if you have 2 people on your crew that have Wilderness First Aid training, one or both of them are going to be the ones who get injured and have to leave the trail. That's just how it works. So, the whole 2 is 1, 1 is none philosophy certainly applies there. I would encourage anyone putting a crew together to maybe consider having the whole crew do Wilderness First Aid training, or at least over half of the crew. Because it could be someone gets injured on the trail who happens to be one of your WFA people. It could be before you even leave. At the last moment, something happens, they're not able to make it. Well, great. Now you're in trouble.
I noticed also in the literature this year, it was mentioned once, and I asked the question, and because they talked about 3. The 2 are required this year, 3 are recommended, and it would appear to me from the discussion I had that it may be required 3 next year in 23.
Mm-hmm.
Just for the issues we talked about.
Yeah.
So,
hard to argue against that. I mean, the expense and the time to get the training is not insignificant, but you are your own first responder in the backcountry. So more people up to speed and ready to handle that, the better, I think. So let's do an official pause right here and say welcome to Scott. Thank you for joining us. We understand you had conflicting scout activities this evening, and we appreciate you telling the other ones that we were more important in coming to be with us.
He did come with his Philmont jacket on.
I did come with my very important Philmont attire. Exactly. Yes. It's very chilly here in Plano, Texas. It's down to like 62 this evening. So I had to get the jacket out.
Harold and I still have snow on the ground, so I don't want to hear it.
And a lot of it.
A lot of it. Yeah. Yeah.
That's like base camp in the morning. Okay, so let me scroll back up to, we had health forms, requirements, suggestions. We'll get to that. Classes. We're working through the agenda. Let's talk about the
One other thing that Nate mentioned that they're seeing more of is seizure disorders. And they're looking at well-controlled and no seizures within the last 12 months.
Wow.
Again, where you're at, high altitude, high exercise level, maybe a little lack of sleep, a totally different diet. This all exasperates the situations. Blood pressure, seizures, asthma, the whole thing. They just get, pushed to the extremes here.
Yeah.
So be ready for it. Have a plan how you're going to deal with it.
Right. All right. So, sound advice, I think. So let me see if I can share the screen. We'll see if this works. I think it might work. I tried this on a broadcast a week or two ago, and it didn't, but it appears to work this time. Let's see if we can even make it a little bigger. I think that's as big as it's going to get. Okay, so what we're showing here, Sal and I kind of collaborated on a project last year. Maybe I can bring this up as well. With North American Rescue, it says the NAR website, NAR, is listed here in that comment. North American Rescue is one of the really kind of, I'm going to call them the legit emergency medical providers. They're not one of the fly-by-night, Chinese throw stuff together and hope it's good enough. They actually produce really high quality emergency kits. Sal with Suncoast Wilderness First Aid provided the spec for the kit. I provided the introduction to North American Rescue and kind of coordinated the project through my company Gear-Report. And we were able to have North American Rescue produce this kit. Backpack first aid kit's what they call it, but it's actually a Philmont tailored kit. And Sal, would you like to speak to how you came up with the stuff that's in it? Anything you want to say about it?
Anything I want to say about it? Oh, great. Well, if you notice there, the first thing I want to say, there is no medicine in any of this kit, no aspirin, Tylenol, any of that stuff. Reason why is every state has got its own requirements. So to make it easier for them, we decided to leave all that stuff out of it. So you would have to supply that on your own, your aspirin, your Tylenol, your ibuprofen, Imodium, whatever your thing is. All those would be good to take. Basically what I did is, with my 6 years of doing Philmont, stuff I used regularly, stuff that we used a lot of, stuff that comes in handy, and leave. Because usually when you buy a first aid kit, you'll get stuff that you'll never use, and by the time you use it, it's expired. This is the stuff that, in my opinion, every crew needs on a trek. It's got things that you're going to use more often than anything else. There's not stuff in there that you'll never use at all. So that's how we came up with this stuff to go in this thing. It's stuff
Sure.
that I've used in the past or like in my kit, and leave out the junk that you'll never use and don't know how to use.
Sure. And Philmont has their own recommendations for a first aid kit. And Sal referenced that when putting this list together. And I think there's a little consultation with North American Rescue as well. And there may be things you like outside of this, or maybe things you want to take out of it. It's a good starting point. The price point on it, I believe last time I checked, was about $46, which, you know, I'm biased because I was part of the project to make this, but from what I've seen, that seems to be a pretty reasonable price for a kit like this. So if it's something that interests you, then, you know, you can call North American Rescue. You can go to the NAR website, and if it's not listed, it may be listed by now. I don't know. If it's not, if you can't find Suncoast WFA's backpack first aid kit, then you can call and give them the part number 85-3446, and they will make and send you this kit. And I can tell you, I carried one of the prototypes of this kit in the backcountry last year, and someone, well, I say I carried it. My crew carried it. I was on vacation. They carried it. But someone did get into it and use something. I actually have to find mine so that I can inventory it and figure out what got used.
I carried mine last year. The only thing we used a lot of, well, we had all the rain. We were the rain group. We actually used the emergency survival blanket more than once. They were
Wow.
fighting over it. So I had to, once you open that thing up, you'll never get it back in the box. That and a couple Band-Aids and a couple antibiotic ointment little things, but it's still rock and roll, ready to go. It's in my first aid kit. I carry it in my backpacking gear. So
Nice. All right.
It works. I like it.
Well, it's in the comments. If anyone, I'm taking it off the screen, so if anyone wants to find it, you can go to either YouTube or the Facebook group and find the information for that in the comments there as well. All right, so back to our agenda. We didn't actually talk about health forms. We talked about you need to get your appointment to get the health forms. Who wants to handle talking about what health forms do you need for the crew? When do you need to have them in? What do you need to do with them? All that kind of stuff.
Okay, you need a medical off the Philmont website. You get the medical A, B, and C. It's downloadable, and you could fill it out online and print it and take it to your medical provider. Make sure they read the last 2 pages. It talks about what a high adventure camp is and what Philmont's all about.
I think that's part D, Delta.
Okay.
Yeah.
Delta, yeah, that's part D.
Give that to the physician to read.
Give that to your physician. Make sure he reads it and understands what you're doing. In there, it lists the weight chart, so you can see right on the weight chart what you're supposed to do. You can upload it to the gateway. 2 things I learned last year. 2 things I learned last year is you can, if a person in your crew does not have it, you can say add their medical to it. Philmont will send them an email and they can upload it themselves. That's great, but you don't get a copy. So I would make sure you get a hard copy to carry with travel. Even though it's uploaded from last year, one of our crews uploaded everything. And when they got the Philmont page, I think section C of somebody's medical form wasn't uploaded properly. So luckily we had a hard copy, and they just say, hey, here's the hard copy. Bingo, there you go. So bring hard copies with you. You can use the gateway and send out emails to remind the people to upload their medicals directly to the gateway for you. But I like to have them emailed to me. That way I can review them and look for any allergies or anything like that to see what my crew is, who's allergic to what, or who needs an EpiPen, who needs an inhaler and stuff, all that good stuff like that.
So is there a particular date in which those have to be uploaded to the gateway, or could you just show up at the Welcome Center with your hard copies?
You could show up with the hard copies. They just like to have the medicals ahead of time because supposedly they review them before you get there to have answered all the questions. Because I know last year, I carry EPIs for me. They asked as soon as I sat down, "Where's your EPIs?" Here you go. They knew I needed them right away. So
they're talking with Nate. His recommendation is 30 days. Have them in 30 days before your arrival. That's a good time because that's also when you need to finalize your crew roster and attendees. Because at 30 days, if you add anybody, there's a late add fee per individual.
Yep, there is. Hey,
and those med forms need to be valid within the past 12 months.
Correct.
Although you do have a little bit of wiggle room, because if you get your physical done on February 1st, 2022, it's actually good through February 28th, 2023. So that may buy you an extra few days if you need it.
We already covered that, Scott.
Sorry, I'm late. Wow. It was so important it had to be said twice. How about that?
Well, Sal covered everything I was going to talk about the physical copies of everything. I'm a nerd on that, so I put everything in a binder and just have it there. And
let's start at the top of the agenda again. How about it? Okay, we're good.
Daryl, start over.
Okay.
So there is a Facebook user with another question. Once the forms are uploaded, guessing they can't be downloaded from there also.
No, they cannot.
I think that's kind of what you were speaking to, right, Sal? Like if
once
you send the link, then you won't have a copy.
Correct, but you cannot download them from the Philmont site.
Yeah, it's a secure site that meets HEPA qualifications of sending that kind of information electronically.
Hey Jeff, I just sent you a question. Check it out real quick.
Yeah, you have. So to share the screen, we'll just go ahead and talk through this so people don't just have to wait. If you want to share the screen at the bottom of your screen, if you're on a PC at least, I don't know how it works. Yeah, it should be share, and then that'll prompt me that you want to share.
Okay. Do you want me to I've got the gateway open so I can walk people through that.
Yeah.
Okay. Share screen. Oop. There you go.
Gotta wait for the prompt to come up here.
And there's a lot on that gateway. That's probably a whole session on its own.
Yeah.
While we're waiting, one thing that Sal said is he wanted to review his crew's medical to see if you need to be alert of anything. I would suggest that you'd hopefully have that information when you're doing your shakedown hikes.
Yep, you should.
I think the thing that really threw us off last year was the COVID test that we'd had to get 7 days before we got there.
Yeah.
Are they going to require that this year?
Say that again.
Either the vaccination form or the COVID test 7 days before. Have they even decided?
Nate said there will not be a requirement for COVID vaccination. If you are not, his recommendation is go get the shots, be vaccinated, but not being vaccinated will not prevent you from coming to Philmont. But he didn't say anything about a COVID test, and I can probably go back and ask him that question.
Well, that's what we had. Part of our crew that was vaccinated, part of them were not. I was one of those that was not, and we just had to get a COVID test.
Right.
Maximum of 7 days before the start of your trek, which that's a difficult thing in itself.
Yeah,
that's an impossible thing right now. So
I'll take that as an action item for the next seminar, or post it out there what I find out. A side note, what I also found out is their plan is to be back in the dining hall.
Nice.
That's
great.
wonderful.
The situation last year sucked.
Yeah.
Sitting in your tent area eating food,
Cold food. Yeah.
It's the same food every meal seemed like. So yeah.
All right, Sal, you're up on the screen. You want to tell us what we're looking at here?
Do you see the gateway? This is what happens when you sign into the gateway. If you notice, I started from the top. There's my what crew I'm in, a 12-day. It shows me what I'm missing. All that stuff is missing. As you scroll your way down, it shows your itinerary. You can go through. So far, the only person that's in there is me. But if you notice, you see where it says add medical form, you hit that, you can upload it. And underneath that says email request. If I hit email request, I will get an email from Philmont telling me to upload my medical form. And also, if you notice, it says I'm missing my first aid, wilderness first aid. I was missing all my stuff I need. Nothing's been uploaded yet, so I'm slacking. So you keep on going down. There's add adult. I'm the only adult here. I've got 4 or 5 of them in the last 2 days. I haven't entered anybody in. So, but that's what the gateway looks like if people have never seen it before, and it shows you exactly what you're missing. So all that yellow stuff has got to be gone before you show up. 30 days before you show up is what the day, because after 30 days, if you add anybody, it's $150 fee.
Also, the gateway is accessible by only the crew advisor, the adult advisor.
Correct.
So people can't go in behind you and change things. There's also a link in there somewhere for arrival information.
Yeah, travel plans right here.
Travel plans. Philmont wants to know how and when are you arriving and how and when are you leaving. This is the place where you can advise Philmont that your plan is to arrive a day early. If you're a 6:20 contingent, that's Monday, but you're really planning to get there on Sunday the 19th. This gives them that notification.
And if you notice, our arrival day is June 19th, but we're a June 20 crew. We arrive a day early.
Also, back on the first page, over to scroll down a little bit, Sal.
Okay.
Coming there on the bottom left, your itinerary selections. That's where you can put in your 6 choices that need to be input prior to February 16.
And there's my choices.
And if I recall from previous years, I think once the lottery runs, that second box to the right, itinerary, I can't read it. That's where it'll post the itinerary that
Itinerary Explorer, is that the tool that they
that's the Itinerary Explorer, where you can I want to go here, there, and somewhere, and it'll give you the various treks that do it.
Yeah, see, you could do difficulty.
Yeah,
you can do peaks, and if you check Baldy, definitely don't want, and it will tell you which one's at the bottom.
Yeah,
that's your Itinerary Explorer. Your activities, tells you can go through every activity they have and check each one off. And then the same thing with the camps, what camps you want to go to, and miscellaneous. If you want to hike out the first day, hike in. So example, let's say I want to do
just do the Peak Baldy.
Okay. I definitely want to do Mount Phillips. And if you look at the bottom, there you go. These are all the treks at the bottom. Possible itineraries that do Mount Phillips. If you click on each one of those, it will pop up out of the Trek book of that page. So that's how that works. So this one is 12-1. It does Mount Phillips and, of course, a bunch of other stuff. So you can do each Wilson Mesa Trail pick. Every activity, I think every activity out there is listed on here. If you go peaks, and then same thing with your programs.
Okay, excellent. Well, I appreciate the peek behind the curtain. Daryl mentioned that the crew advisors had access to the Philmont Camping Gateway. As far as I understand, it's the lead advisor or senior advisor, whatever we're calling
Yes,
it,
it's
the single person in charge. Because I've gone as a crew advisor twice and never had access to this.
Yeah, it's the senior adult advisor. We call them the senior adult advisor. All the adults are advisors. We call them the senior adult advisor. The senior adult advisor is the only one who has access to this.
Actually, I'm actually the now I'm not going on the trip this year, but I'm the kind of the initial contact, and I have access to the Philmont Gateway also. So it's myself and our lead advisor.
Yeah, what they call the reservation contact.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah, the reservation contact has, well, in my case, and probably Sal's too, I don't know. But anyways, in my case, I'm taking 6 crews, so I have access to all 6 forms for all 6 crews, and I can overwrite if need be. But
yeah, if you notice, the reservation contact has got Jeremy. That's our scout professional.
Right, he would have access to all of the crews going from, in that contingent, the reservation contact.
So
Nice.
There's the gateway.
So I think the only thing left on our agenda
I'll stop sharing.
is going to be, I stopped for you.
Okay,
I'm a dictator. You got to remember. You don't even have to ask. I'm just going to do it.
He has the power.
Who wants to talk about allergies?
Yeah. So I think that's the last thing that we had on the agenda.
Go ahead.
Daryl had said he was going to do it as well. So, I don't have an online version of the Thunderdome that I can utilize to decide who gets to do this. So
You'll
have to just decide amongst
rock, paper,
yourselves.
scissors.
Yeah.
Well, I can talk of it because I'm the only one in my crew that I know this year that has allergies. And I have EpiPens that I carry. I mean, I make sure my crew knows where my EpiPens are, which they're easy to find. They're attached to the first aid kit. They all know how to use them. I do on one of our training hikes, I bring a tester. I mean, not tester, sample, a dummy EpiPen.
Mm-hmm.
And I show them how to use it just in case for some reason I can't use it myself on the trail. You should have at least 2 of them with you. They make sure they are not outdated before you get to Philmont, because if you go to Philmont and they're outdated, technically you can't go on the trail because you need them. Philmont has a way to get them filled, but depending on when you get there and depending on what time your physical is, it may delay you from going on the trek by a day because they have to get.
There might be a minor charge.
There'd be a very big charge for them because they have to get them from Raton. They can't get them. There's no place else to get them. I don't think they carry them on base camp. So they have the closest pharmacy is Raton. And depending on what day if you're on a Sunday, I'm sure the pharmacy is closed in Raton. So they gotta wait till Monday to get your EpiPen. So make sure your EpiPens, if anybody has any, or your inhalers, or any of your prescription medicine is not outdated. That's a big thing. And if they have food allergies and they can't do some kind of meal, there's on the Philmont website, it talks about how to supplement meals at Philmont. And I've never done it. I know people who have done it, and most people have never had a problem with it. Scott, have you done it?
Well, I have a peanut allergy myself, although be it mild, and I don't use an EpiPen. But the way I handled the food, at least in my last crew, is I had another scout that couldn't eat pork, and he could eat peanuts all day long. So we shared a meal bag together, and I ate all the pork and he ate all the peanuts, and we're all good.
That works. Yeah, because you can always trade. You can always use a swap box for food. So that's the easy way to do it. I have food allergies too. I just use a swap box.
I've done this. I've had crews that had it. There's a whole process that they go through. I'd like to kick that can down the line like Nate did on the seminar. The Philmont seminar, preparedness seminar in February, will be about foods, food allergies, and all of that, cooking and so forth. So they'll be putting out this year's, I don't think it'll change much, but this year's procedure for food allergies and how to get supplemental food into the backcountry and so forth. It pretty much in the past, and I believe it'll probably continue. Philmont can do a limited amount because there's so many varied and widespread allergies. They can do a limited amount. So I would say probably about 95% you're on your own of having to provide, the alternative foods. But I'd put a plug in for the Philmont preparedness seminar for next month or this month, February.
Right. And if you search within the Philmont Trek Talk group in Facebook, you will find a number of threads where, especially what I've seen, it's the people who've just gotten done with a trek and they've successfully navigated the whole how to supply meals that are consistent with whatever your allergy needs are, in a way that Philmont can get them to you in the backcountry reliably. There are a lot of good tips and tricks and whatnot listed in there. So please check out, some of the prior discussions on this using the search function within the group as well. There's a lot of great lessons that people learn the hard way. And, I'm a big fan of learning from other people's mistakes, not making mistakes to learn from them. So please learn from other people's mistakes there.
Yeah.
All right. I think that topic wrapped up the formal part of our agenda. So I will, had a question from Daryl in the private chat about audience. Audience has been a little slim on this one, but we're at about as many people as we've had the whole time. So the audience is still there. So I'm going to remind everyone this is intended to be a interactive discussion. So if you have any questions, I know we're thorough. I know that the rest of the panel here, incredibly knowledgeable, and we may have flooded you with more information than you needed. There's bound to be something that we didn't mention. Please ask those questions now. You have a chance to do that. And while we're waiting to see if any more, while we're waiting to see if there are any more questions come in. Sorry, I got distracted by a couple comments that popped up here. Facebook user on the spot with yet another post. This is wonderful. Well, thank you. We think that people showing up, getting some value out of these discussions is wonderful. I'm going to speak for the group. I'm sorry. I think the rest of the group, you have to ask them. Let's see.
My scoutmaster in our troop texted me and said he liked to see that I had our troop number during the during the discussion. So
yeah, nice.
That was to make sure he was watching. So.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, good. I'm going to answer this one. And I'm going to scroll back up. If you go back in the comments, where is it? I'm going to copy the comment and paste it in again.
Nice blue tag there, Daryl. I have one of those.
That's pretty cool. So
It's on my backpack,
you
though.
go to streamyard.com/Facebook. On that page, it will ask you to give access to Facebook to show your Facebook name and your picture. You do that one time, and as long as you're on the same device and haven't reset your cookies, it will just show your name instead of Facebook user every time. And I always tell people, please do that, because then we know who you are. But it is also kind of entertaining when Facebook user keeps posting. So it's like our ongoing meme. So you can be a part of the meme, or you can go put your name in so we actually know who you are. Either way, we're going to have fun with it. We're going to appreciate whatever you say, whatever you ask. So
I'd like to throw a couple of plugs while we're waiting. The lottery for your trek selection. Get them in by, I'd say, February 15th, even though it's 9 a.m. on the 16th. Get them in early. The other thing is, I saw a lot of questions on the Facebook page about 2023 and, how much should I pay? And I signed up for 10 crews and I'm only going to bring 2, or I signed up for 12 people and I only got 6.
Oops.
Philmont encourages you to be judicious, which means pay for 8. I don't care if you got 10 or 12 going. They're going to come. Some are going to fall in. Some are going to fall out. Pay for the 8 per crew. And from there.
That's one thing that it's kind of been handed down in our troop and in groups like this, but it doesn't seem to be really advertised on any official Philmont stuff. So,
well, if you look at the payment schedule, it says, it doesn't say just pay for 8. We don't care how many. But don't overextend yourself. Thinking, hey, I'm going to get all 12.
Because always start at the lowest. You can always add, never take away.
Right.
Simple as that.
Once they
that's how we do it.
Once they cash that check, you ain't getting a refund.
Always start low.
Yeah, at that point, or at this point, Philmont is only looking for the number. I'm going to have 8 people. They're not interested in the names Billy, Bobby, Sammy, and Johnny. They just say, hey, I'm going to bring 8 people. So, and you got a lot of time between now. I think only the deposit is required right now.
For 2023, yeah.
Fill. I mean, if you're at 7, chances are you're going to fill that.
Well, hey, we can do a plug on that. Do we have any free agents here on the panel?
Nope.
Anyone else who is willing to pick up an adult spot if one is really needed?
I really have one, Jeff, if you want to go.
I'm holding out until we get to the point where, I'm going to be honest here, all right? I'm holding out to the point that we get to where some crews are like, well, they're going to lose the money. So if you pay half of it, the person who canceled will pay the other half, and I get to go for half price because I'm having trouble coming up with the funds to go every summer. But if someone needs an adult, I have a bag ready, and I just need a week's notice probably.
Is that called a mercenary or something like that?
Yes. We have a guild, actually.
I got a crew of 6. I need 2 people. There you go. To make the minimum. Mm-hmm. So there. Putting it out there to anybody who's listening. I got 2 spots.
I think we got a link out there on the Facebook page.
Yeah, I posted a couple times. Hey, we got Facebook users.
You have spots available, Sal?
I think you were slapped down.
First I've heard of that.
Yeah. We got a couple here. Let me see here. We have all right. So I'm going to work my way through them. We had this one. We talked about how to get your name in. Glad to provide the entertainment tonight.
at no extra charge.
Yeah, there are lots of people chipping in on that entertainment. I have a feeling it's about to get spicy. With Sal's getting a little frisky, so
Hey,
we shall
it's
see.
late. I'm ready to go.
I'm
Yeah.
sitting right next to him. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Be careful.
right. Okay, so
it's colder here than it is in Texas. What do you expect?
On cavalcade treks, you get a limited size bag for your gear. Do they allow for additional storage for crew gear like med forms?
Oh, you don't. I think that
you don't
person thinks you take them on a trek, but you do not take your medical forms on the trek.
Right. Yeah.
Those stay back at base camp.
They'll be in the infirmary, right?
Yeah. If they bring the hard copies,
yeah,
they don't have to take them on the trek. If something happens, they just call the infirmary and they have them anyway. So you don't have to take your hard copy medical forms on the trek with you. You can leave those back at base camp in your locker.
Right. Cool. Okay. If that didn't answer the question, let us know. I think our prolific questioner, Facebook user, we do appreciate that. And one more from Facebook user. And can you talk about supporting LGBT scouts and scouters during the trek? So, yeah, if anyone has anything specific on this, I'll tell you my perspective on this is sexual preference has nothing to do with the scouting program. So everyone is the same in the backcountry. I don't know if anyone has any other thoughts. Like, are there any policies that where people are treated differently because of their preference? I mean,
I don't
I'm not
think
aware
there's
of
a
anything.
policy. I know last year, oh crap, what's the name of the camp above Sealy Canyon, Daryl?
Ring or Whiteman?
Ring Place. They had a couple of the LGBT males and females up there. Only reason we knew is because they told us when we said, okay, fine, thanks. And that was about the extent of, like, again, they're all scouters to us. We don't care.
I don't know if there might be any different adult leader requirements, depending.
I don't know if there is
that's
either.
Above my pay grade. I don't know the answer.
I'm actually thinking in my Sea Scout ship, we have an issue because we're a co-ed unit and we have one female leader and we have a variety of female scouts and we're often short. I'm thinking this could be an opportunity if I just identify as female when we're short, then maybe that'll meet the youth protection policy. I don't know. And I'm not actually trying to make light of this. I have an LGBTQB whatever person in my household. So, I know this is all serious, but, I joke about everything. So I'm equal opportunity. I mean, if we didn't answer the question that you were getting at, Facebook user, please clarify, re-ask, whatever.
I think Ring Place had a
part of the issue could be how are you dealing with that in your crew through your shakedown hikes, or even just day hikes,
Shouldn't be any different.
You're right. In the unit. I mean, I would think that however you handle it when the unit goes backpacking, that's how you're going to handle it. The film. I assume that the main issue is going to be around tenting, probably. Here's something that I was pretty upset with myself after sitting on one of the latrines that's not in a red roof at where were we? It was at Schaefer's. No, below Schaefer's. What's that one? The one just the base camp side of the Tooth. It was Tooth Ridge. Wide open, lots of camps around. It's like there's actually a latrine right in the middle. Right. Yeah. That's where I was.
I went there. I know. So we shared the toilet, I think.
Yeah. So I got the seat warm for you. But anyhow, someone mentioned later a woman in a comment in one of the groups where we were talking about ponchos said, oh, they're great for giving you a little bit of privacy. So I would say this isn't necessarily an LGBT thing, but anyone who wants privacy, here's another vote for the superior rain gear the poncho. And I say that but if you know how to use a poncho and you're prepared for it, you practiced and everything, I think they can be superior to some of the rain suits out there. But even if you just have one poncho per crew that is used to give a little bit of privacy when you have to be on one of those latrines, because we do have, I remember back in the day, it was pretty much just dudes out there in the backcountry, and privacy was more of a luxury you didn't get sometimes. Now with not just dudes in the backcountry, that is one thing that you can get an ultralight backpacking poncho and have a little bit of privacy that anyone can use when they got to do their thing. So that is my suggestion.
So would you go for the clear one?
Please don't, Jack.
I'm sure there's a joke there, but I feel like it would be inappropriate enough. Like, I'll do inappropriate. That I feel like anything I would say would cross the line, Daryl. Yeah. All right. So thanks again. I'm not seeing any more comments. If you have any more, sneak them in real quick. Otherwise, I think we're going to wrap up. So I would like to say thank you to our expert panel. Really appreciate you all being here and putting up with me. And
you pay us enough to put up with you.
I know, right? You're getting
you only
a
get half pay, Scott, on this one. So
yeah, you're late.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
before we go, let's. I want to give everyone a chance. If you have anything that you want to talk about in terms of Rob, if you have anything coming up relevant to Philmont treks that you'd like to talk about from your site, if anyone else has anything going on. This is basically the promotional plugs for anything else people should be aware of. So work your way around the panel, and if you have anything to say.
All right, I'll start it. I have started converting these discussions into podcast episodes for High Adventure Scouting podcast, and some of them have been good, and I've had to split them up into two because they're so long. But I have had quite a few people listen to it in that format, so whatever can get it out. So, but I guess beyond that, I was going to pair it. There it is. That I take physical copies of everything to every high adventure base, no matter what it is. So, and I think we already talked about that, but that's probably my one big thing that I fretted over is having all that. So, and there's the podcast right there. So.
There we go. I listened to one of these a couple days ago, and I thought it translated to that podcast format pretty well. So thanks for putting it up there.
Well, I had to go through it 2 or 3 times, so I've listened to it a lot. So I honestly think the last one with the trek talk about, really got into detail about, one of the, looking at the sheets. I thought that was, I followed along with it as a just an audio format fairly well. So I thought that was a really good discussion. So
yay.
All right.
Sal did
it.
I
appreciate that. Here's a good one. When can we join you again? So we have shuffled this around a couple times. I think this time slot seems to work pretty well. Second Tuesday of each month, 9 p.m. That's the real time zone, East Coast time. So that's when we do this. 9 o'clock, second Tuesday, East Coast time. And you'll find it on the Philmont Trek Talk Facebook page. You'll find it on my website, the Gear-Report.com, on our YouTube page. And, I may even be sending this to my own personal Facebook page as well. I'm not sure. I don't know. It goes all over the place. It's all over the interwebs. So
there you go.
You can find it any of those places. And we certainly look forward to having everyone back again. Thanks again to our illustrious panel. Thanks to all the guests, especially the ones who came in and left comments. I'd like to note Daryl, who asked a while ago, do we still have people watching? We have more people watching now, and it just ticked up again. How does this always happen? When I'm about to shut down a broadcast, every single time, right as we're about to shut down, the number of people watching goes up. And DJ Play Nice saying hi. We appreciate that. DJ Play Nice is one of the crossovers that watches some other stuff on the Gear Report channel. We get a few of those as well. For those people, you're welcome to watch. Spread the word about Philmont Scout Ranch. It's a really cool experience.
If you can't get enough of us, this is recorded and you can go to the page and
Listen again.
And Jeff, I have a special plug too. You're watching this on the Philmont Trek Talk site on Facebook, probably. There's also Northern Tier, Sea Base, and Summit Trek Talk sites. So check those out too if you're planning on those high adventures.
And I'll tell you, some of those have been getting a lot more traffic lately. I know I've seen a lot on the Sea Base group lately. I get the notice every time someone wants to post who's never posted before. That one seems to be taking off.
Sea Base is about ready to start operation.
Yes, they have spring break trips.
Yep.
Yeah, we have a couple crews going down for spring break. So
Our crew's only go in December, so
and the Northern Tier site is really picked up with OPIC at this time of year too.
Great.
Nice. All right. Well, everyone, thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and hit the button to shut it off. If you're okay with that.
hike on.
Yeah. Is anybody not ready?
Me, I'm not ready.
For real?
No, I'm just kidding. Hike on.
Sal, put your pack on. Come on.
I'm packed
This
on.
is not a pack off break. What are you doing? All right. I'm going to hit the button. Till next time, we'll see you on the trail.